Hey there, and welcome to Dinar Today. I'm your host, and if you're watching this video right now, you're probably someone who's been following the Iraqi Dinar story for quite some time. Maybe you've been holding dinar for months, years, or even decades. Maybe you've watched countless videos, read hundreds of articles, and followed every rumor and update that's crossed your screen. And if that's you, then today's news is going to be particularly significant because we are seeing something different. We're seeing what many are calling RV confirmation signals. And these aren't just whispers in online forums or speculation from anonymous sources. These are tangible indicators that suggest the Iraqi dinar could be approaching a major revaluation event. Now, before we dive deep into the specifics, let me set the stage here. The Iraqi dinar investment community is one of the most passionate, dedicated, and yes, sometimes frustrated groups of investors out there. And I get it. When you've been holding a currency for years, waiting for that moment when its value reflects the economic potential of one of the world's most oil-rich nations, every rumor can feel like it might be the one. Every prediction can spark hope, and every false alarm can lead to disappointment. But what we are seeing today appears to be different, and I'm going to explain exactly why that is, what these confirmation signals mean, and most importantly, what you, as a dinar holder, should be doing right now to position yourself strategically. So let's start with the fundamentals, because I know some of you watching might be new to this entire conversation. What exactly is an RV, and why does it matter so much? RV stands for revaluation, which is a deliberate adjustment of a currency's official exchange rate by a country's government or central bank. This is different from normal currency fluctuations that happen in the forex market every day. A revaluation is a policy decision, usually made when a country's currency has been undervalued relative to its actual economic strength, its foreign reserves, its GDP, or its ability to generate revenue through exports like oil. For Iraq, which holds some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, the argument has always been that the dinar is significantly undervalued. The current exchange rate doesn't reflect Iraq's true economic potential, and that's why dinar holders have been waiting for a revaluation that could bring the currency's value more in line with the country's actual wealth and economic capacity. Now, the history here is important. After the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime in 2003, Iraq went through massive economic and political restructuring. The currency was redenominated, new notes were introduced, and the country began the long process of rebuilding its economy, its infrastructure, and its financial systems. During this time, the dinar's value remained relatively low, trading at rates that many investors believed didn't reflect Iraq's long-term potential. That gap between current value and perceived potential is what created the dinar investment phenomenon. People around the world began purchasing Iraqi dinars, holding them with the hope that one day the currency would be revalued and their investment would pay off significantly. But here's where things get complicated and why so many dinar holders have experienced frustration over the years. The Iraqi government and the Central Bank of Iraq have never officially announced a timeline for any major revaluation. There have been currency reforms, adjustments to exchange rates, and discussions about monetary policy, but nothing that matches the dramatic RV that many investors have been anticipating. This has led to a situation where the dinar community has been flooded with rumors, predictions, insider tips, and speculation from sources of varying credibility. Some of these predictions have come and gone without any real change. Some have been based on misunderstandings of Iraqi policy or misinterpretations of financial news. And yes, some have unfortunately been outright scams designed to take advantage of hopeful investors. So when I say that today's signals are different, I need you to understand what I mean by that. We're not talking about anonymous guru predictions or unverified insider information. What we are seeing now are observable, documentable movements in Iraq's financial sector, policy announcements from official government sources, international banking activity, and economic indicators that collectively suggest something significant may be in motion. These are the kinds of signals that financial analysts look for when they're trying to determine whether a currency is preparing for a major policy change. And that's why the dinar community is celebrating right now, because for the first time in a long time, there are multiple credible indicators all pointing in the same direction. Let me break down these confirmation signals in detail so you understand exactly what we're looking at. First, there has been increased activity and coordination within Iraq's banking sector. This isn't just business as usual. We're talking about banks updating their systems, preparing for enhanced liquidity requirements, and engaging in communications with international banking partners that suggest they're preparing for a significant currency event. When banks start preparing their infrastructure for a potential revaluation, that's not something they do casually. It requires investment, planning, and coordination. The fact that multiple Iraqi banks appear to be taking these steps simultaneously is a strong indicator that they're receiving guidance from the Central Bank of Iraq to prepare for something substantial. Second, we are seeing policy alignment at the government level. Iraq's Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of Iraq have been rolling out economic reforms that appear designed to support a stronger currency. This includes measures to combat inflation, reduce dependence on the US dollar and domestic transactions, and strengthen Iraq's foreign currency reserves. These aren't random policy moves. They're part of a coherent economic strategy, and strengthening the national currency is clearly one of the goals. When you see a government taking deliberate steps to create the conditions necessary for a currency adjustment, that's a signal that they're building towards something specific. Third, there's been a notable increase in international attention on Iraq's economic situation. Global financial institutions, forex trading platforms, and international investment groups have been publishing analyses and reports about Iraq's economic trajectory. When the international financial community starts paying attention to a previously overlooked currency, it often precedes major changes in that currency's value or recognition. This kind of attention doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens because there are signals, either official or unofficial, that something significant is on the horizon. Fourth, we're seeing improvements in Iraq's overall economic fundamentals. Oil production has been increasing, government revenues are growing, and there have been steps toward greater political stability. These factors matter because a currency revaluation isn't sustainable unless the underlying economy can support it. You can't just arbitrarily increase a currency's value if your economy is in chaos, your reserves are depleted, or your revenue streams are uncertain. The fact that Iraq's economic fundamentals have been improving provides a foundation that makes a revaluation more feasible and more likely to be sustainable over the long term. Now, let's talk about what this means in practical terms for dinar holders. If a revaluation does occur and the dinar's official exchange rate is adjusted upward, anyone holding dinars or dinar-denominated accounts would see the value of their holdings increase. The magnitude of that increase would depend on what the new exchange rate is set at. Some projections that circulate in the dinar community suggest dramatic increases, while more conservative analyses suggest more modest adjustments. The truth is, until an official announcement is made by the Central Bank of Iraq, we simply don't know what the specific numbers will be. But the principle is clear. A revaluation means your dinars would be worth more than they are today. However, and this is critically important, a revaluation does not mean instant wealth or overnight riches. This is where expectations need to be managed carefully. Even if a revaluation occurs, there will be a process for exchanging your currency. There will be regulations, procedures, limits, and requirements that you'll need to follow, and banks and authorized exchange facilities will have specific protocols for handling dinar exchanges. Some banks have found that you require to be an existing customer to exchange currency. Others may have limits on the amount they'll exchange in a single transaction. Knowing these details in advance will save you time, frustration, and potentially costly mistakes when the RV actually happens. Let me also address the emotional dimension of this situation, because I know many of you have been on this journey for a very long time. Waiting for a currency revaluation can be exhausting. You invest your money, you hold your position, you watch and wait, and year after year, nothing happens. You see predictions that don't come true, you hear rumors that fizzle out, you experience the ups and downs of hope and disappointment. That emotional roller coaster can make it difficult to trust new information, even when it's coming from credible sources. I completely understand that skepticism, and honestly, it's healthy. You should be skeptical. You should demand evidence. You should question sources and verify information before making decisions. But here's what's different about the current situation. We're not relying on a single source or a single piece of information. We're looking at a constellation of signals, multiple signals from different sources, all suggesting movement in the same direction. When you see banking sector activity, government policy changes, international attention, and improving economic